Yeah, I watched a clip a couple days ago. Um, Crap, I can't remember what band he was. He was the lead singer, songwriter or something for some band or whatever. Became real big in 2000, and his daughter, is in high school now, and she's playing one of his songs for um the school talent show, and she's teaching herself how to play, right? So he happened to like walk in, and said, "Well, that chord's wrong. You need to put your fingers here." What do you know, Dad? Go away. He had no idea that he was the lead singer of that band.
That's just bad.
Yeah.
Weekend.
Well, they haven't done concerts for, last 10 years or something.
I have no idea why the top of the screen is blue.
But they were talking about it. I was like, yeah, I told my wife about that. My wife said, yeah. So I went in there and corrected her and told him, you should listen to your dad. He kind of knows what he's doing. And pulled up a video of him, when they got married, and him playing to 85,000 people in some concert. And the daughter was like, who's that? It was hilarious.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We saw your mouth move, but we didn't hear
Oh,
it.
I heard him. I think it's
But it's really soft. You're on it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Like if you had a slide bar over there on your. Oh, yeah, that's probably the microphone.
okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Let me turn you up a little bit.
So can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
Isn't there? A lot better.
Sorry, first time I've used this laptop for a Zoom meeting.
Well, I've got a brand new set of earphones, so I'm still learning how to adjust that.
Sounds substantially less R2D2-ish.
There is that. So did you determine that it was the headphones that were making you sound funny last week?
Uh, no conclusion.
Ah,
Am I sounding funny this week?
nope. Sound good.
Okay. Well, I just picked these up at Micro Center, and this is the initial testing, so anything can happen.
Okay. What are they?
Pardon?
What kind of headphones did you get?
Oh, let's see.
Logitech.
Yeah, I see the G. I would have to remove that tag that's right here.
Covered in stickers.
Ah,
You see that?
yep.
I don't think so.
There's not much
Pro X.
on the outside of the box here. It's a Logitech Pro Gamers something or other. All of which is explained in 0.3 uh, .3 height font. I don't know if it's me or it's actually happening, but it seems to me that all the advertisers are using smaller and smaller fonts these days.
Yes, they are.
Less ink. Comes a thing when you knock it across a few 100,000 boxes.
Yeah.
Plus, nobody reads it anyway, right?
Well, if it's at 1,000 point.
Yeah. I watched a guy ranting about technology and some of the changes in like the user agreements and stuff, and it started kind of saying people really need to start looking at that because they shoveling in a lot of BS now, a lot more because nobody is reading them, that they can get away with stuff. And
Well, I watch a guy on the internet who is a lawyer. And he's talking about, there's a House bill in California that has said you should be able to opt out of your automobile giving location information to the manufacturer.
Mhm.
And that the big four have said, well, if you're gonna do that, we just won't sell cars in California anymore.
Yep.
And he said, what a bluff.
That stopped selling them countrywide, then.
That's 10% of the populations. Okay,
It's
and
more than that.
well,
California?
Mm, dropping pretty fast.
yeah,
They're down 1.5 million in the last 2 years or something.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, they could lose 1.5 million people in Los Angeles and it'd still be really, really crowded.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I mean, it's New York has more than LA, doesn't it? And
Let's see, Mexico City is 13 million. I think that's the largest city in
In the
North
world.
America.
Yeah, but what percentage of them actually have cars?
So California has 39.3 million people. I'm gonna call that 40. And the US population is 341. So it's more than 10, but not by much.
No, but it's a good estimate.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb.
Is that the lawyer that's really into cars and
Yeah,
got a bunch of pictures of him with Jay Leno?
I don't know about Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Leto's law is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hangs out with Leno pretty frequently. I assume they both live pretty close to each other.
he's in Michigan. I don't,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Leno probably goes there every other weekend.
go to the Ford.
well, I like his approach. It's pretty much non-legal.
There's a lot of funny laws in a lot of places that starting to try to shove down. I just don't understand that people don't wake up and do something and push back. It's going to get really weird.
I wonder if I got this. A long, long time ago, I discovered a chess font. All the little chess characters that like you'd use for a newspaper to show moves in a game. And it was rook, knight, bishop, queen, king, bishop, knight, rook. And then 7 rows of pawns. Doesn't matter who goes first. Revolt.
Well, can't you get to those with the ASCII table? Right there? Or
Not
that?
ASCII.
Right.
That was never part of the ASCII code,
Okay,
but it is.
well, I'm thinking
It
that,
is in the UTF-8 stuff,
okay,
but this also had like board backgrounds and the white knight on a black square and the white knight on a white square and the black knight on a white square near the edge of the board that has a border. It's kind of neat.
So you could upscale it and make a,
I've got to look it up every time I want to put a cent sign in, alt.
Yeah. Character map.
Yeah.
And then type cent and Control C. It works.
Well, I just generally pull it up and say, okay, that's the character I want to see, that's alt.
yeah, here's the 4-digit code for that one. I haven't played with that stuff in ages. We used to use them passwords and crap. Because it's really hard to hack a password. In general, people are looking at normal characters.
Where's that on the keyboard?
Yeah,
On the typewriter, it used to be right up there.
yeah, tilde A. How the hell do you do tilde A on an American keyboard? And Spanish carrot too. What was it? I forget what that was over. Or the Spanish character has a little like carrot top or something. I don't remember what letter that went over, but I don't even.
The diacritical marks.
Yeah.
I might not have it on here. Nope. I can never remember which marks are which. Other than umlaut, that one I remember. That's the 2 dots over.
Over the U.
Yeah.
I've seen that one before too.
That's
Yeah,
a umlaut.
Professor Gerald Pfeiffer, but he always told dirty jokes. And so he was Dr. Dirk, D-U umlaut R-T, Dr. Dirk. And the mailroom would address or would deliver mail to that name. They knew who it was.
Post office will too. They get mail for all sorts of people.
Yeah. I worked with a guy who had, when he was cut back from the railroad, was put in the mailroom. And kept getting this obscenely addressed mail, throwing it up in the box. This guy comes in one day and says, I haven't been getting my mail. You know anything about it? He said, well, what's your name? Because Richard Head. Said, oh, I have your mail right here. He didn't go by Richard.
I wouldn't either.
Talk about updates. I stupidly updated my phone a day or two ago. And now, new version of iOS on the Apple has ads on their map tool. And it, wanted to let me know that there are now ads when I use Apple Maps. And it has nagged me 8 times today to notify me that I have not set up my facial recognition use for my iPhone.
Ooh.
Trying to make me, set up my facial recognition. And
Because it needs to know that it's you when you ask for directions to the nearest Sam's Club.
Yeah. So
nice.
I asked one of the glorious AIs, was like, how do I bypass that, to get rid of the nag? And it's like, you have to go ahead and set it up. and then go in, and here's where you go in to turn it off. You know, so I'm thinking, do I use a stuffed animal character like Baby Yoda for my facial recognition? To
It
set up.
probably says that you couldn't turn it off and thus.
Yeah. Can you do something like that? Can you use a mannequin?
I'm probably about to find out because I mean, it texted me twice today saying you need to finish setting up your phone. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, more and more, I'm thinking a flip phone is the way to go.
You know, well, I also joked with my dad yesterday. I was like, you know, a company could go out here and make just a phone again, and they'd probably be just fine in the near future.
Yeah.
Might do like a map tool or something in it so you can still do your navigational mapping, and other than that, screw the rest of the features.
I was going through leftover stuff in my computer, my upstairs computer room. And I found a little device that I had plugged into an old laptop. It was a GPS device that you plugged in and it had the software
Mhm.
to do the map tracking and stuff.
Yeah, like the old Garmin.
Yeah,
It predated the Garmin.
wow.
I'll say Garmin was a little dicey from what I understand. I had a buddy almost wreck over Garmin when he was in the army when he first got out, or well, one of his first sessions or whatever, and I don't remember what base. I think it was in DC or something stationed there for. He was using a Garmin GPS to come home, and it told him to get off 32, go up through Hillsboro, take a side road, and then turn left. And that left was a field that reconnected back to 32. There wasn't actually a road there. And it was dark, you know, he's doing it at like 1 a.m. He said, I almost ran off the road because he could see the highway. He just assumed, you know, it said, you know, turn left here, and there was no ramp. But I just always thought it was odd that they, yeah, I mean, I understand that they had the old fake markers like the Rand McNally maps, you know, they had bogus roads to tell when somebody copied their stuff, you know,
Yeah.
but you're doing that on a navigational thing, that's a little riskier with people's lives.
Well, some of the apps that I have for navigation, you could get the big picture and see it says I-70, I-75. You start zooming in and the identification goes away.
Yeah.
So it's a big road, but you don't know what it is. So you can either choose to know what the name of the road is, or you can choose to find the little lanes that come off of it,
Yeah,
but you can't do both.
I've been there. Seen that in a few spots.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
I worked for,
amazed at how well GPS and maps on a phone works.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have killed for that 25 to 30 years ago. So I worked for Intex. I did backfilling for Fidelity, or not Fidelity, Franciscan. And I was covering for a guy that was on vacation for 2 weeks. What I didn't know is that position covered like 28 places. Because nobody told me. I didn't have a list of addresses or where to go. I was getting phone calls, you know, to like go repair a PC at such and such facility. I'm like, I don't even know where that facility is. And I don't have a map. They're like, I'm asking the other, you know, like the employees are like, where's this one at? And they're like, oh, that's up 71 to halfway to Dayton. And I'm like, okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Welcome. Stay away.
No.
All right.
Hi there. So
How
what are
is
we
the
having?
cold weather email for.
Well, in my backyard, it's 95.
I have painters around the house working.
Really?
My God, yeah.
Oh,
Those poor guys.
I wonder how quick the paint dries.
The paint, you release your brush and it stay in place immediately. Well, I moved Friday and Saturday. 2,200 bricks. Restocked them in my backyard.
Onto a pallet or something.
Did you do something wrong? Were you being punished?
There was a groundhog got underneath the pile and burrowed under there, and the pile started tipping toward each other. And the realtor has been trying to sell the house next to me. And he called the city and said that I had an unsightly construction debris in my backyard. So they came out and wrote me up a citation.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
That is bonkers.
Yeah. I moved them all, restocked them. But I stacked them in such a way that I could hide whatever shit I want behind them, and it wouldn't. Realtor can't see them anymore.
I'll tell you
That's
what,
Curious to me. I don't think that could happen where I'm at.
Well, I didn't think it was gonna happen where I'm at, but it did. And I made 2 pairs of brick tongs, but all the bricks in this pile were not stacked vertically, so I couldn't grab them. So it didn't make any sense to go through and restack them 6 at a time and pick them up with brick tongs and move them. If I'm gonna do that, if I'm gonna pick them up, I might as well just move them.
no.
And you didn't make a conveyor out of a ladder?
They were over my head.
Oh,
They were moving from a lower area around my pear tree to an elevation change of about 2.5 feet to an area that was flat. And had I done anything with a ladder or a conveyor belt, it would have been a really short one.
Hmm.
I could throw them up on top of the pile and then go around the other side. Right.
I'll say, what realtor company is that? So we know never to use them.
They don't have a sign in the front yard, so I can't tell.
Interesting. And was there a fine in this citation or just a notice?
A notice that I had until today to get it taken care of.
we put a big Santa up on the roof or something. Something as ugly as possible.
I would say,
I would sabotage them for that.
I would say spray paint their front of the house.
I can't tell you how much that pissed me off.
I would say I've never heard any ordinances that would apply to the backyard.
Oh, they had they cited me under it was three things. They weren't in an approved container. They said it was construction debris, and it was a safety and health hazard.
Bricks.
He's gonna smash that poor groundhog.
He had a big ass burrow under there.
Yeah, oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
She the ones at the farm, in the barn.
Yep.
And
I remember one
bricks.
underneath the side of the barn that was generations old.
Yeah.
I was allowed to shoot so I had when my grandfather died, he gave me his rifle, 22 pump action Remington, great rifle, amazingly accurate. And I was allowed to use that to shoot pigeons and groundhogs from the time I was like 5. Initially I had to have Dad there, but later on I didn't. And I remember a lot of times lifting the window and shooting out of my bedroom window at the barn that was like 500 feet away. And oh, there's a groundhog. You wait till they get fairly far away and you shoot one and it falls. And then another one sticks his head up to go, hey, where'd Ralph go? And he goes over, hey, Ralph, did you need it? One time I had 9 dead groundhogs lined up. And that wasn't all of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My brother-in-law grew up in West Texas. And they were poor West Texans. And as a child, he was given an old rifle to play with. Didn't fire. So he's sitting there on the porch of the house, says, hey, Pa, watch me shoot that rooster's head off. And he did. Pulled the trigger, and he thought he was going to be in big trouble because he killed the rooster. It's like, kids have been shooting at each other with that damn thing. It's a wonder that his parents didn't go to jail.
Yeah, there was somebody, I had a clip yesterday, wow, I saw yesterday. A guy went to a painter, one of those air gun things, and had like a Uzi or something, and it was a real Uzi. There was a referee blew the whistle after the first shots he fired. And like, wait a second, he pulled that thing and actually had ammo and wasn't an air rifle. Luckily, he didn't hit anybody. He just put a bunch of holes in the side of the building.
It's a toy my dad had. He had a pair of Mac 11s,
Yeah.
consecutive serial numbers. Those things were wrong.
We had a dad's one group of guys he used to get together with way back in the 90s. There was a guy that loved Uzis, and he wore a trench coat and a pair of Uzis. I'm like, how do you do with an Uzi? And we went out target shooting one day, and I don't know, we were 100-yard thing, and I was like, you got an Uzi. What the hell are you gonna do with that? And he points it up like that and goes and sawed the target in half. I was like, okay, never mind. I was like, but I mean, he was literally pointing at like 45-degree up, you know, because the Uzi range is just full.
If he were going after barrel bonds, I could see where that would be a professional necessity, but
Yeah,
It is fun to get rid of a whole bunch of ammo really quick.
yeah.
we used to shoot 22s like that. And
Yeah.
one of the guys, my Civil Air Patrol had a like 150 round mag or something for a 22.
Ruger 1022.
Something, I don't know what it was, but
Yeah. Pretty easy to convert a 1022 to be fully automatic.
I had a pump action Rossi, and one of my friends shot it while holding the trigger down, and it broke the mechanism. So then basically it fired every time you pumped. So then it just auto shoot. You pump as fast as you want to pump, and then it do.
I was thinking that needs to be modified.
Dad finally had one of his buddies he knew somewhere, whatever gunsmith fixed it. But I never knew. It was like, well, I know how to make it, and you just hold the trigger when you pump it, and it breaks whatever the shear pin was.
After I left the military, I've never felt compelled to own a weapon.
I have them, but I don't hunt. There's been a few things in the yard I'd like to shoot, but I've never hit them. Usually you just use it to chase dogs off. Now, if there was an easy way to shoot some moles, because dang, they've gotten bad in last year. I mean, there ain't 5 feet of square foot patch in our yard that ain't riddled with ruts.
Yep. Now, I've heard people drop mothballs in the tunnels, but I've never tried that.
Doesn't do anything. they bring them out and hand them back.
We used to have a dog, that wasn't a problem then, but don't have a dog anymore. I've gotten really bad. And most of the traps are broke. But when you're getting 2 and 3 moles in a trap, there's a lot of moles out there. So it's just those little scissor trap or whatever, get mole on each side with both scissors at the same time. Had one out there the other day with so whatever that stupid ash borer or something beetle
Oh, yeah,
that they had to,
emerald ash borer.
yeah, they had to take some trees from the neighbor's back field, and it was gonna cost them so much to cut a road back there to do it. They asked if they could just come through our yard and get to it at the back of the lake or whatever, and Dad was like, oh, sure, you know, the thing, they took some, you know, we're like, well, you know, in payment, because you're saving us like a month and a half of labor and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what would you guys like for, you know, Dad, you know, got some gravel and they brought the wrong size gravel, so the gravel's like this big, you know. But he threw that in some of the tracks where the moles had dug through in the backyard, and they just ate those rocks like they weren't even there. With the rain the last week or two, Dad was like, oh, I can't believe all that rock's gone. I saw he tossed a couple out there. I was like, well, that's weird. And then I noticed, you know, a couple days ago that they're gone. It's just mud. It's sunk down in all those tunnels or what?
I have moles, but not that aggressive.
Oh, man. Well, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It's the only thing I've seen worse than it is the beavers in Colorado. We went to Cottonwood Pass on the west side of the Cottonwood Pass. We stayed in the, I don't know what that park is, but all it is beaver dams. The whole side of the mountain is beaver dams.
Cool.
All the way down to the lake. And I mean, I've never seen, I mean, it's just like one big massive slow moving waterfall, because all the little bitty ponds are all, you know, from the brush tree line or whatever down to the lake. And we camped there. And I was like, man, I don't understand why there's so much beaver dams. And I mean, there's beavers everywhere. And it was like, and Buena Vista is the town on the other side of Cottonwood Pass, and it's like 362 days of sunshine, 70 degrees year round. I mean, but it's desert practically, and like you don't have grass, it's gravel and like some tumbleweed. That's all you've got. And I thought, man, that's so weird. When we camped that night, it poured down rain, the worst lightning storm I'd ever seen in my life. And I mean, the rain was obscene. It sounded like we were being mortar shelled the whole 36 hours we were there. And the whole sky was just lighting up and flashing. I mean, it dumped so much water on us. I can't believe the tent didn't wash down the hillside. And I understand why there was so many beaver dams.
And why they didn't get rid of them.
But oh, it was nuts. It was a wild adventure. But I guess it gets up to like 16,000 feet. So all the weather and moisture hits that mountainside and all drops on that side. And then on the east side, there's nothing, you know, it never makes it to the
It's
other
like a
side.
big island in Hawaii. You have two volcanoes and a saddle road between them.
Mhm.
And my uncle, as a young Marine during World War II, said that they went there for R&R. And they landed at Hilo and drove over the saddle road. And he said it on the east side of the island, they got 200 inches of rain. And then when you got up to the top, it was like somebody took a marker, drew a line, There was no rain on the other side of it.
Well,
And we found the same thing when we were in Hawaii about 15 years ago. You literally could draw a line between the wet side and the dry side.
yeah, it's wild. That's what's weird too, is like, so it's kind of like a triangle. So you got Cold Springs here, Buena Vista here, and then Ironton or something like that, Irontown or something like that. So like north of Buena Vista. Its year-round population is 12. But during the summer, it's like 350 or something like that because of the gold mines and stuff. But I guess, I don't know if it comes around the other mountainside, but they'll get like 20, 30 feet of snow in a shot there. And Buena Vista, like 30 miles south, gets nothing and stays 70 degrees. But that's just weird. But that's where we'd go for breakfast because they had a really good diner, sometime.
The Saddle Road there that we were on, if you went to Kona on one side or Hilo on the other side of the island, there was gas stations and someplace to eat and
Mhm.
that. But on the Saddle Road, there wasn't a gas station. There wasn't a little stand selling the hula girls for your dashboard. There was nothing. And the people regularly commuted from side to side of the island. And I'm scared shitless driving 35 miles an hour because the road goes over a hill and I don't know whether it's going to go left.
Yeah, goes to the right.
And they're just zinging over them at 80 miles an hour because they've done this for so long. They know
Which way it's going.
which way it's going. And they had what are called bridges. Well, we call them culverts. They would go down to a single lane, and the people coming uphill had the right of way. So if you were zinging over the top of the hill at 80 miles an hour, you better damn well hope you're not going to meet somebody head on.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool. The Saddle Road stops and goes up to the observatory.
Oh,
And we were able to go up there at night and drive up and be above the clouds. And that was really pretty cool to observe. And there were a lot of amateur astronomers out there. One of them had a 16-inch.
Damn.
Yeah, as an amateur. Very fascinating.
and it's still never gone to the one here in Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah.
Go.
Dave, Eric Hemmerlich tried to get me to go a dozen times and still never gone yet.
You wanna go?
Sure.
Find out what their schedule is.
So that's the one thing, it is kind of, I only meet like once or twice a month or something.
Well, there are two meetings.
Is there?
There's one at the actual observatory.
And then the group.
And then there are weekly tours and talks, but an actual meeting of the observatory personnel is monthly. There's also a monthly get together out at Stone Lake, and that's pretty close for both of us.
Yeah.
And that's one where
We'll go out,
everybody
set up and.
sets up their telescopes. I've been to that one a couple of times. I've only been to the Cincinnati Observatory once. But if you've never been there, it's a neat thing. It's the Cincinnati Observatory was one of the first sponsored observatories built in the US. And it was responsible for keeping solar time for the Navy for a long, long time. Their telescope doesn't go round and round. It's just aimed due south. And there's a crosshair in it. And the sun is lit by the crosshair. That's noon. So they track that and verify the Earth is still turning at the right speed. It's on Observatory Avenue. What is that?
Mount Washington,
Hmm?
the edge of Hyde Park in Mount Washington.
I don't know about Mount Washington. I thought that was further away, but yeah, it's Hyde Park. If you're in Hyde Park, Erie splits Hyde Park in half, and it is what, east of Hyde Park. Follow Erie east. When they get to Delta, turn south, and the next road is Observatory. So easy enough to find.
Does the observatory dead into it or something?
No, so if you're on Observatory, there's 2 hills on it. If you're coming from Delta, go up to the first hill. And then there's a 3-way intersection, turn north and go up the rest of the hill. And that's where the observatory is.
I'll say, I know it. Where the observatory splits off there to why, I don't know what that little town's called, but theater used to be there, can't think of the name, but it turned into a like wedding place, reception hall, but then that just closed up like 2 years ago. Where's, no, but been on observatory, and I tried to take it one time to get back down to, because Linwood was closed for some reason.
How does it do that?
Oh, part.
I need my glasses again. So, yeah, right there. Here's Erie. This is that real sharp turn with the police station. We turn on pictures and stuff. Here we go.
Well, I was just saying, I figured I must have been close to it at one point in time, because I've taken observatory all the way back in the row on little Linwood Beachmont Avenue once.
So the original telescope is in this front section. They built this rotating observatory later. And it was still not terribly much later. It actually rotates on cannonballs from the Civil War.
Wow. That's pretty cool. They locally made cannonballs.
I've got a couple of cannonballs from about that time. 2-inch cast iron, found them in Hamilton. Considered giving them to that little museum in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Carried them there 3 or 4 times. Never was it open.
Oh,
It's got the hours on the door. It's one of these little tiny museums that's open 1 day a week from 4 to 7. I went there at 4:30, nobody home. Went there at 4, nobody home. I have never been in there, and I wanted to go. I mean, I really, really like museums.
well, let's say Beth will probably take it. Couple of them. They're starting to get a little fancy out there in Bethlehem.
One of the best coffee places on the Coffee Emporium right there. I got headhunted there once. I got a call while I was at the lawyer's office, and they asked if I had any interest in another position. I'm like, sure, let's talk money. And they took me there. I drive by this place every day on my way to work because I lived here And work was about here somewhere. It was a fun drive. We met at that coffee shop, and I have never, which, hmm,
Wasn't it like right there?
work? No, it was on this side.
Oh,
Oh, no, it wasn't. You're right.
Law firm was there by Red Bank at
Yeah.
Walmart.
Oh,
Mile.
right there.
Yeah. A little too far south. Another plaza north.
We were really hopeful that they were gonna make a Waffle House here. And when I left, it was still an empty lot. El Jinete is a good Mexican restaurant. And this new Sean is something new. There was what I would have to call a typical Chinese restaurant. It was run by mom and dad. The kids were bringing the food out. They had an 8-year-old that was out there playing a piano and doing a hell of a job.
A lot of the Chinese places have turned into Indian places lately. Find that slightly odd. Especially as expensive as Indian food has gotten. But we can't afford it anymore.
This med vet was the emergency vet for the Cincinnati Zoo. Watched him cart a lion in there once, an alligator, and a baby elephant. They have the only elephant-sized MRI in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I decided at one point I was going to get healthy. So I went over here to Sears and I bought a bicycle. Decided to leave my car at work and ride the bicycle home. Erie Avenue here, that's an angle like that. I pushed my bicycle all the way up. The next morning I rode it to work. It was downhill from home I mean, I didn't touch the pedals hardly at all. And I hit 40 at least on Erie Avenue, and I was terrified. And I sold the bike that day to somebody else.
I would leave my bike in the utility room of the office, and it was really kind of nice to be able to get on the bike, ride home, think of all the frustrations of the day, on the road. And yes, and if it rained during the day, I'd get in the truck and drive home. If it rained overnight, I'd get in the car and drive. But it worked out in between.
Trying to say, it was. Yeah, well, it was probably international, Intex maybe. I remember someplace that plant was so large, it had bikes. It was supposed to be for IT. And of course, they were never, you had to go to the back of the plant to get them to, if you needed to move the computer.
I met a woman who was in industrial hygienics for Santos Port Plastic Facility. We were discussing industrial hygiene issues. And she said, well, do you have an SPI on bicycles in the plant? And I said, no.
Serial peripheral interface?
Port Plastics was down in Addison, Ohio. But she came up at the plant one time, and we're driving along, and one of those big pay hauler Euclids goes by, and she goes, you must have thought I was a moron after the car riding the bike.
Yeah, you get mowed over by one of them.
Yeah. We had 3-wheelers inside the motor rooms, but they were not out in the plant.
I was thinking at Inco, it was so slow half the time that could have gotten away with a bicycle here and there.
We had them at Kings Island.
But the
That was a lot of
semis
fun.
going in and out with steel, it wasn't a good place to be.
Well, the steel haulers weren't the problem, it was the big pay haulers hauling the slag and,
Yeah,
the debris.
I never spent that, was never that close to the forge very often where they were doing all that. I was, the closest I was to that was the experimental batch side office or something. Where they had a lot of the furnaces or whatever for doing small stuff, and testing things and making them experimental stuff. And then they had a 80-ton extrusion press or something to make bar stock samples out of it, and take like a 6-inch canister and turn it into like a 12-foot 1-inch bar stock or something.
And see, I'm thinking, I could really use one of those at home.
Well, that was the thing, is like the last week I worked there, they broke it. The little Indian metallurgist guy came up with some compound of stuff they put in that canister, and it hit that ram, it made about this long of a bar, and then it stopped, and the guy pulled the ram back, slammed the ram again, and then you just heard the whole building go. And then there was a new crack through the whole foundation of the facility. And that guy started cussing up and down the other, because the army was supposed to be in there renting it for the next month for experimental stuff for the government. And of course, they lost the contract because the buildings broke. And then he told me to cut that bar out. And, he came out there like an hour later, like, why did you got this cut out? And I was like, well, because I already burnt through one blade and I haven't even got through the casing. And he's like, you ain't doing it right. And he grabbed that thing and shattered that next saw blade like it was nothing. He put in the third saw blade. He's like, all right, do what you got to do. It took a long time to cut whatever that was, and then we had to hammer it with a sledge and knock it back through the die. I don't even know if they ever got it through the die, because I was like, it was some hard stuff though. Because that saw blade, it was like I went through 3 saw blades to get through that 1-inch bar stock.
Biggest mess I ever saw was when the blast furnace froze.
Ooh.
32 feet iron. And they pulled the tweers out, and they put a burning bar in and burned until they got to a central point where they could introduce the air.
Oh, the superheat and try to reliquefy.
Well, all they wanted to do was start the blast again so that they could get flow.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Anybody's looking for a fun thing to do for a date, Cincinnati Dinner Train. This train is owned by Cincinnati Dinner Train, and they own these tracks that go down by Red Bank Road.
Yeah.
It isn't cheap, but it isn't particularly expensive. And these are all diner cars. And they take you for a train ride and talk to you about the history, and it's kind of cool. There's some neat stuff. I've done it 3 different times.
But I'm assuming that's the track that went all the way out to Bethel. The 3.
No, that
It does say but went to the history.
You have windows on both sides?
There used to be
Yes.
a train track that went from Cincinnati out to Bethel, and then it went down to where the power plant or the water plant is. And it did a spur, and it actually had all 3 size tracks on it at one time.
So this track comes from up here north. I don't know what's north of here.
I can't
Comes
remember.
down, goes around Oakley, down to 52, And, oops. Stop that. You end up down here by the steak place on the river, eating steak. And then they go back up, but it makes basically a big U
Yeah.
around Cincinnati. It certainly doesn't go east from there.
Well, I was just saying,
But-
most of it's gone now, but
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
was
if
that
that's-
one of the narrow gauge rails?
So they had all 3 gauge
Okay,
at one point, and that's what it was, the only three gauge train tracks in the US. It was a real interesting history thing to learn, or whatever, and the company went belly up, I don't know what year it was, but they owned from like Cincinnati out to probably Beachmont or something like that, then it changed gauge to out to Bethel, and then when they built a spur down to the waterworks when they opened the water
Yeah.
works, and that was some other gauge, I guess. There was all 3 gauges at one time for like a week or something they had working. It was interesting what they were talking about because it came out to Bethel and then it actually went all the way out to Georgetown, I guess. Got across the river at Georgetown and then it stopped. It was as far as out it went. And the bridge is still there for the track, but then
To zoom here.
yeah, for the 100th anniversary of Ohio or something like that.
I made a trail walking around over here. But the river in this area is very strong, narrow,
mhm.
and the water is very, very strong. The current,
So,
I never really looked at all the train rack or tracks, so I didn't know what all everything went through.
The tracks along the Little Miami River have been converted to a bike trail.
Yeah.
mhm.
We normally ride further north. But they're a nice set of trails.
I used to go using my bike from Loveland to Milford,
Okay.
and sometimes to Merriman,
Mhm.
following the rivers. Nice. Easy.
And
Flat.
we normally ride further north of that from
Car ride factory or something. In the park there is
so
a,
the cartridge factory.
yeah,
Yeah. I was riding. I don't know whether you guys remember or not, but I built a recumbent trike. And my daughter was riding the recumbent trike, and I was right up on her rear wheel talking to her.
okay.
And an animal ran out in front of her. And she jammed on the brakes, and I hit the trike, went over,
Ooh.
and she said my helmet bounced on the pavement. Julie came around the cartridge factory, and I am laying out there.
I did from there also to Lebanon,
Okay,
to have breakfast in the breakfast club in Lebanon.
I'm trying to think of.
My wife drive there and I was in the bike. It's an hour or so.
We hadn't ridden there. The Little Miami is east of there. But
That's the Anderson RC Club.
Yeah, didn't know that was a thing.
I just looked up at the East Fork ones. Gotten the renewal from the Corps of Engineers for the next 5 years there at East Fork by the dam.
Cool.
So a friend of mine got his drone commercial pilot license yesterday. But I didn't know that was, that big of a deal or whatever, but so I was just out of curiosity, because he's out of work, he's a programmer in Seattle or whatever, got let go. like last year. So he's been looking for ways to make money. And I was like, well, I was like, did a search of like, jobs for drone pilot. There's like 285 jobs here in Ohio for drone pilots. And I was like, holy crap. So I like started looking at some of these and they're paying from like 50 to 175,000. And I'm like, well, crap. Like,
Does the fine print say relocation to your
to the site.
training is required?
And most of them did say that, but there was all kinds of weird positions. There's a one out past me toward Hillsboro for crop duster position, paid like a couple $100 an hour or something. And there was one for the power company for running transmission line inspections, and one for like house roof thermals or whatever for like roof evaluations and stuff like that. And all kinds of stuff. And I was like, I hadn't never thought about, like that'd be something might be kind of fun to do. And so I was joking with my one buddy, and I was like, hey, I was like, because he had cancer real bad, and they took part of his lung and stuff, and he was trying to get his pilot's license, and because he kind of wants to quit doing what he wants to do and just fly cargo or something. They won't let him because of his recent cancer. He won't pass his physical for another 2 years. They said he said he could appeal it because he's in remission, but they're kind of he hauling him around. I was like, well, that's crap. And I was like, well, maybe this drone thing, that kind of money. He's like, well, maybe that is a thing. So we were looking at, and I knew there used to be a airstrip there at East Fork, and I was like,
Until they order you fire. What?
yeah. But yeah, so DJI makes a crop dusting drone, and it's like 16 grand and carries 10.5 liters or something of fertilizer or pesticide or whatever. So, but it only flies for 8 minutes at a time. Takes 9 minutes to recharge the battery pack, so but then it's like you do the lap, outside lap, and then the iPad controls the rest of the pattern. So you just have to like refill it.
And check.
So, and it takes 9 minutes to charge the battery, and it takes 9 or 10 minutes for the battery to cool before you can use it again. So you have 3 cells, you can keep recycling the batteries, and it comes back to this dude was showing, how to do all this, and it has a trailer with the mixed tank on the bottom half, and then the landing pads on top with the charger and a generator underneath, so all the batteries go in the rack.
And
they
they swap the
yeah, you just pull the battery pack out, drop it in the next slot, grab the next battery, drop it in the thing, and then pump it like a gas pump to refuel the mixture, and then hit the button and it goes back out. And I was like, that's kind of slick. But it's kind of a nichey thing, but I was like, they're versus
I'm guessing you don't do that 365 days
yeah, I
a
was
year.
to say it's a seasonal kind of thing,
Yeah.
couple
But if
times
you
a
have a
year.
trailer, you can stay where it's comfortably warm.
Yeah, well, this guy was doing like a big anti-video for it, it was like, if you don't like early mornings, you won't like this job, because he's like going out at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning to get set up, and then he's like, can't spray in the fog, so it's foggy in the morning, so you had to wait for the fog to burn off because the pesticide floats in the fog and you can't allow it to spread.
I never really thought about that.
And then he's like, he went through like 10 different things that, why the job's kind of crappy. He's like, if you don't like manual labor, this ain't a job for you because these batteries ain't light and you're changing them every 10 minutes, and then,
Yeah, but at $100 an hour or $200 an hour,
yeah.
maybe.
And then he's like, if you don't like the hot sun because you're standing on top of that flight deck dusk to dawn or dawn to dusk or whatever, because it's seasonal work, so you're trying to crank it in as many fields as you
I
can.
think that the best job now is plumber. They charge you a lot for
Yeah.
do whatever.
Remember?
I'm learning to solder the copper pipes this week. Yeah, I bought all the torch, everything, and checking the videos. I used to solder air conditioning copper pipes, but it's different because you use
Okay.
acetylene and oxygen and very, very high temperature to
Silver solder.
yeah,
Yeah.
use a silver
Well,
wires, and it's different. In the water pipes, you use
very easy.
a very low temperature, and you clean very well. Use a flux thing, clean the excess of flux, and you try to touch the pipe when it's really hot with your solder wire, whatever, and it flows by capillarity and fill all the gaps in. But if you, I start doing it with a lot of heat, and everything becomes black, you know, and then the pass
Stick.
doesn't move. I made all the mistakes to work with that. So I got a lot of unions and elbows and pipes, and I'm practicing. I'm doing well now. That's because one of my yard valves, those that are very large for winter thing,
Yep.
I left the hooks
connected.
connected.
Yep, exactly.
And now trying to use it, all the water goes inside the basement.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's not,
So I call a company with a very good name. The guy comes down and I said, okay, it will be 1,000.
Jesus. For
Okay,
one valve,
let me think about that. Went to the computer checking.
25 bucks for the
Usually
valve.
change the valve itself is $40. And the whole thing is 170 or until 300, 400 maximum. So I say, okay, I have
I'm gonna save 60
raised
bucks.
to buy all the equipment and because there is a valve to shop before that, so I can
Valve.
just work as I wish, experimenting, and I'm doing
Yeah.
so.
Just
What
cut
I
it off
found
and screw it on the
is-
shark type, or shark bite.
Leadless home solder now is when you go to melt it and take it apart, there's something that you can't get it apart. You're better off getting a tubing cutter and cutting the old fittings
Yeah,
off
yeah.
and just going
You
away.
cannot fix, this is a mess, trying to fix a hole or something. Doesn't,
Well, that's, I'll say the hole is almost pointless, because if you got one hole, you're gonna have another hole in a week or two. Cause it's gotten too thin.
I evaluate different things. You can use compress connectors and use a flex pipe or so. I have like 5 options.
Yeah.
And I decided just to learn to solder this thing.
I'm trying to get my youngest kid into plumbing, because you can't export the job.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always paid pretty well, but $1,000 to replace one valve in a
great,
section
great.
of tape, yeah, that's nuts.
The guy came, the evaluation guy. Okay, will be, and you will fix it. No, I will send another guy to work on it. Oh, a lot of bureaucracy to.
Yeah, you might have just gotten somebody that was gonna job it out to somebody else. And
I
they each
checked-
get
I
500 bucks.
checked, and this kind of problem is like more than 10% of the problems
Mhm.
after winter, you know? It's very common.
Yeah.
Very, it's like the start capacitor of the air conditioning thing.
Yeah.
It's always the same thing,
Yeah.
always.
A $10 part or a $50 part, depending on which one you need, and it's 30 seconds. of
Yeah,
work.
yeah. I did it several times in my home. Change the start and running capacitors.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come together in a single unit.
I've gotten to be good friends with a master plumber. And I've looked at the work he's done. He's had me, we had an interesting job. He asked me to help him in a Wendy's, pulled out 1,000-gallon hot water heater by putting it in an overhead come along, lifting it, traveling it, dropping it, and brought the other one.
What I hate is to work in confined spaces. I hate that, you know, you just stay in a submarine, something.
John is a perfectionist. He's done work. He put it all together. No, it needs to go up.
this is wrong, okay?
It moved,
Put
it
everything down.
moved it up 18 inches, and it does look better. But it's like, everything is white, everything is plumb, level.
Proportional of really everything.
Yes, you look at it and you say, this was done by someone who really cared about it.
Take care.
A little history, when he was growing up in Pittsburgh, he had a little pedal around trike selling frozen treats downtown Pittsburgh. I think he was 12 or 13. Some people tried to get in and steal the money out of his cooler. And he took the ice pack and ran it through their hand.
Nice.
He asked me to go up to Nebraska with him to pick up a boat. Yeah, the guy borrowed my boat. He's had it 2 years. I'm tired of this. Can we go up there and get it? I said, oh, yeah, but I want to go up in the winter. So first day it warm, it was get in the truck and driving up there.
I had another tip. The guy called back when I say no wait, call back and say, okay, 850.
Oh. So
So
anyway,
Say what it is.
we're driving up there and John says, you want to drive for a while? I said, oh, sure. So I sit down and look over there and there's a butt of a pistol in the door. And there's a butt of a pistol under the dash. And there's a butt of a pistol over here in the console. And I realized
He's expecting problems.
he goes places where he could be robbed, but he's never going to be robbed. Yeah.
My dad's cousin was like that up in Michigan. I don't know what he did exactly. I mean, he worked for Ford or something as his day job, but he did a lot of wheeling and dealing, was real big into silver trading and stuff, but he would do loans, and nobody messed with him. And you just have to wonder, because the guys come in there and pay him silly money to borrow some money.
I think that these people, this kind of work, carpenter, plumber, electricians, will be a very good job in the future. All these AI things.
Yeah, historically, it has been a skilled trade. When I was growing up, I worked at a warehouse in the summer. And I met Holocaust survivors. I looked at too, and they were able to survive because they were plumbers and they had a skill that the Nazis needed.
Years ago, I lived in this house, 4679 Galaxy Lane. And there was a plumber that lived at this house. I was renting this place. And I called up my landlord, like, something's clogged up in the sewer line. And this house did not have water shut off. So anyway, I mean, you'd have to go out to the street valve and shut it off, which luckily I could get to. And the one time I needed to, I was able to. And my kids were young at the time, like, I don't know, 3, 5, and 7, somewhere around there. And he knew this plumber. The plumber worked for some good-sized company, but worked off hours for my landlord. He's like, I find out it's a toy down in the toilet, I'm gonna have him charge you for it. I'm like, okay, that's fair. I was pretty sure it wasn't. So this guy comes over in his work van, which I thought was fun, and pulls the toilet off, snakes it, and it wasn't a toy or anything, so I didn't end up having to pay for it. But I heard him call my landlord and say, okay, it's gonna be $75. Cool. So he hangs up. I'm like, how much would it have been if it had been during the day? He said $350. Nice.
I
So
used to do all the toilet work and everything I can do, and the sink in the kitchen and all. but I never solder this
Hmm,
kind of
okay.
pipes, so now I am practicing.
I've still got 4 or 5 tanks of MAP gas, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
They don't sell that gas
70
anymore.
What? Why not?
$70 for the more expensive one with adjustable flame. It's not expensive. I think.
I've still got the same torch that I had from when I was in high school.
And you spend like 12 up to $15 for each replacement of the tank. I have
Lowe's still sells it.
Well, if you look though, it's not really MAP. They call it that.
I have the 8,000 model of this.
Discontinued in 2008.
Yeah, original MAP gas
Huh,
was discontinued in 2008. They sell it, but it's not actually the acetylene.
The same gas.
ain't that cool?
It's just a branding.
Yeah, so
I use
orange
this.
instead of blue,
I use exactly this one.
or yellow instead of blue.
The tank.
MAP Pro.
But I bought the full kit, you know.
The one that I bought was like, I don't know, $4 or $5.
So I got 4 or 5 canisters of
It's
blue
the
stuff
most
still.
Yeah.
the most expensive. More expensive. There is a one with a blue tank. It's less strong, but I can use also.
This plumber friend of mine doesn't mess with that. He's got a small acetylene tank he takes. It's like makes short work of water being in the line.
Yeah.
I think acetylene would,
I am planning to
He-
use it.
He has a good touch.
I was
In the
just
driveway,
just saying,
the cracks in the driveway. There are some strings of asphalt that you can put in the cracks and
You'd
use
have
the
to-
torch.
Yes.
To melt inside.
have a hell of
So
a
I
clean
decided
mix
to
stuff.
buy the torch and use it for that also.
Okay, now I have a regular torch with a long.
Yeah, with the large tank.
It goes with a big cylinder. If you'd like to borrow that.
Yeah. I've got
Is it-
little oxyacetylene.
That is good to kill the.
I got
Hmm?
big roll around one with acetylene. Got 2 sets of tanks too, because Dad screwed up. Thought he was out of that and not. I was like, no, we're out of 75-25 for the welder. He bought an extra set of acetylene instead of welding tank.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why do you do that? And I was like, we actually still got those. And, what do you mean we still got those? But
I bought my oxyacetylene set off of Craigslist years ago. Cause I wanted something small and portable. And it's 2 tanks about so big,
Yeah.
great size. It's on a torch that's this long and it's got like a number 4 rosebud on it. It's just, it's empty.
I was gonna say,
When I was a kid, I played with the oxyacetylene tanks.
Mhm.
My father has a company of air conditioning across the street. So in the afternoons, I design robots and solder with electric equipment and also with the torch. I learned how to solder aluminum, steel, whatever, but I never did the plumbing. It's like electronic soldering, but huge parts, you know. You need to reach the temperature
yeah.
Well, I can,
and avoid to touch after to touch your work. You need to wait or add water or whatever.
I can do a little flex core wire welding, but I can't do any stainless or aluminum. I'm just not good at it.
My
They're-
learning point with welding was arc welding, stick welder.
I hate that.
And no, I got pretty good at it.
Huh.
But we were working on a car seat, Dad and I, and we're sitting in the yard and the seat's right there and we're just welding away and I dropped the torch or the stick behind me. And it electrified everything between me and the seat. Oh,
Sometimes I was in a hurry. I learned to solder without the mask, with the arch. Just I put the pin, see that, and do it without the mask. Okay, ready. Next.
My dad's done so much of it, he can wobble without the helmet
Sometimes
sometimes.
it's only to fix the parts, not to do the real solder, but to put all together before
Yes.
finish. Sometimes just without the mask.
Just
I did.
tack welding.
But
This building was something of that. This is. This was one of the first actual professional jobs I had. This used to be UV technology. They made high intensity ultraviolet lights for curing printing.
okay.
And we had.
For resin, some kind of resin curing or?
Yes, yeah, so, and this was a long time ago, this was 86, 7, something like that. No, not that long, 93 and 4.
Did they use fiber optics?
No, these were quartz tubes in a housing with a blower attached to it. And we did 200 watts, 400 watts, 600 and 900 watt per inch tubes. Our longest tubes were 6 feet long. But we could cure web up to 6 feet, so the tube was actually 6 feet and 4 inches. And I ran a lab. I actually had this little building here, which is separate. That was a garage. And this was a garage door going into this part of the building.
Mhm.
This whole thing was it was a fun building to work in. You'd be in there about 8, 9 o'clock at night, which I was frequently. And when the roof would cool down, it sounded like somebody was rolling a bowling ball across the roof. Because once one sheet would shrink enough to move, that would move the one next to it, and the next one, and the next one. Terrified me the first time I heard that. I knew that somebody was up on the roof ready to start shooting. I had no idea what it was, but I set up their lab and did testing on lamps and stuff. And I wore a white lab coat and a welding helmet, probably 7 or 8 hours a day there.
Nice.
And I forgot the helmet once on a 600 watt per inch tube, 24 inches long. I had my back to it, didn't have the lab coat on.
This
And I
is
had a
goes down to the
sunburn.
skin.
I had a sunburn on my back that felt like I had laid out for an entire day
Oh, yeah.
in 20 minutes. It was,
Well, when I did this thing of close
Oh,
my
yeah.
eyes, I peel off the next day always.
Yeah.
Like being in the beach all day. Because it's a
Yeah.
very strong arch.
Yeah, you gotta wear something.
a thing I was surprised about. So this is brewer coat right here. It stinks. It's always stuck. It's brewer coat. They built all these fancy homes across the street.
Because, yeah, all kind of different.
And I was
and the
amazed.
golf club.
Yeah,
and
I was
everything
amazed that they
together.
didn't force brewer coat to close. I really was, because I suspect those houses
Well,
houses are
like-
putting in more
like,
tax money
I
than brewer
bought a
coat is.
well, they're probably
different
tried
things.
soon, but they were there first.
Yeah.
They did the same crap in over there in Indiana near my grandparents, where what was that little town before you get the
My
their
mom
sales.
grew up just about 3 blocks from one of the slaughterhouses in Kansas City. And kid think, I always said, I wonder why they live down here. It smells so bad. Well, they didn't live there because they chose to. Yeah.
Yeah, the old brewery or whatever. I don't even know what they make there. The hops, you'd smell so strong there, and just before you get to their sales or whatever, whether that is just before the split.
Where
50.
the plant that process the water used in Cincinnati, or are many, I mean, purifying plants for the water, where they are close to the Ohio River?
Well,
Miami?
Yes, but they're scattered all over the place. So Cincinnati Waterworks has like
But they-
20 different wells.
They use underground flows or the rivers, so.
Both.
Oh.
They, like I said, Cincinnati Waterworks has about 20 wells. And
20 around the city of.
the neatest one is right here. At least I think it's the neatest one.
Okay, this is
That building, once a month, they have a tour. Cincinnati Waterworks. There are 4 old triple expansion steam engines in this building. There are 105
is that
tall.
a pump. You're
These
pumping
are
water.
old steam engines, yeah. And they're pumping to this reservoir.
Okay,
But if you ever get a chance, I strongly recommend you take that tour. CincinnatiTripleSteam.org.
Oh, that's cool.
That's one engine.
inside the round.
This is, yeah, this is one engine. The stairway spirals all the way down to the bottom. And there's an elevator in there too, but
How deep is the well is?
88 feet, I think. The engines are 105 to this point here, from the floor underneath.
Yeah, goes 5 feet under the river.
Oh, I thought it was more than that.
Wow. Well, I was just saying, I know it goes under the river, I thought it was.
But just an absolutely fun and amazing tour.
Interesting.
There's, I thought the pipe or something was 5 feet under the river and it goes down to the floor of the river, doesn't it? Or
It goes to
Or
the
that
far
pipe.
side.
Yeah.
And you can see where the other side of that is. Back to this.
and how tall that cistern is, but I thought it was like the cistern's like 5 feet under the river. And those are at the floor of the cistern.
This square is the intake for that water pump. And if you're crossing the Ohio River on the bridge that's just to the south of this, you can see it. It looks like a castle just inside the water line. This is a really steep hill here, and it goes down, and that's the deepest point in the Ohio River in that area.
Okay,
And they picked that place. Here's the Little Miami River.
yeah.
Because the Little Miami kicks up a bunch of dirt. And this is
Okay,
one of the
best
cleanest
places,
points.
up current in the
Yeah.
river.
This is one of the cleanest spots around there.
But this water comes from Philadelphia
Yes. Pittsburgh.
and it's clean.
Not always. There, what's really funny too is like right beside them, they gave the land to the Ohio River quality control
Okay,
for the state of Ohio. They gave them their center acreage to build their building there so that the company that monitors all the water quality through the Ohio River is stationed right there so they can notify them whenever they see contaminants, they can shut off the pump.
we'll reach the pump in hours or something.
And I
Yeah.
always tell people I don't drink water because I grew up downstream from 1,500 miles.
So they have a buffer and they can stop pumping.
Yes. So they know when there's contaminants or something's going on, they can shut it down. So when they had that big chemical spill,
Yeah.
they closed that, when that contaminants was coming down.
So this is pretty much all the way at the bottom, looking up. This flywheel, there's 2 flywheels on each engine
Inertial.
between, so it has multiple crankshafts for each engine and connecting rods for each cylinder. And the crankshaft is halfway down. So it's got water pumps under the crankshaft and cylinders up above the high water mark and the flywheel in the middle. And the flywheels are 28 or 32 feet in diameter. I don't remember. And this
Yeah.
pile of rock
No, it's
is,
iron ingots.
yeah, is iron. This thing you're standing on down here is an oak platform. The whole thing was hand dug. I mean, this was built, remember the year?
1900.
Okay,
It came online. in
1906, I think is when it
Well, I
came
was
on.
say that. I was say I thought it came online in like
Wow.
1902 or something.
Okay,
1903,
Um,
somewhere in there.
so they made a big oak casing, pushed people down into it and said, dig. And they're tossing
Yeah.
dirt out the top, pulling it up in buckets on ropes. And they
Sunk
just
the
sunk
building.
that case on further and further, and they laid rocks around the perimeter to push it down, and then rocks
Okay.
as it sank, and rocks as
Okay.
it sank. And that's these walls. And even then,
Well, it
it
flooded.
still tried to float. So they put all of these ingots on there and the steam engines, and that pretty much has a,
To keep the pressure in
Well, that was the building was designed to be, the ballast was gonna be the steam engines, but they didn't have the steam engines yet, and then in like 1901, it flooded, so the building
they use
came up and flexed the floor to where they couldn't drop the steam engines on it because the floor wasn't flat.
wow.
So they had like 3 different ironworks companies built all these ingots to make the center spiral to sink the building back down and level the floor out so they could drop the engines. And then they ended up using that as the pylon for the crane to bring the engines in.
That's cool.
yeah, this
It's a
is,
really neat building.
this is an overhead crane that can turn. It's got a wheel that runs on a track out here. I wish there was another picture, because one of the things that was there when I was there last,
The lamp on that little. The
no,
light.
the
Oh,
other pump, the electric pump.
Oh,
So these
Is
engines,
this auxiliary or
huh?
the electric one is auxiliary thing or?
Well, these aren't running anymore. They shut these down in 64,
no,
5?
88.
It's not
80s?
working.
Yeah.
It was running steam until the 80s? I thought it
88.
was 60s. Okay,
That's what the tour was, is because they forced Duke to verify that they would have electric, because they were separate of the electric grid because they ran coal to run the steam engines. And in '88, they finally bit the bullet and ran electric and put in a electric water pump or
So-
whatever. I think it was 88, 86, 88, something like that, they said. And so they had to run power lines to it and guaranteed that they'd never have a power
But
outage.
you can power down the electricity and still have water
well,
running.
not
because-
anymore.
No anymore.
No, okay, yeah, but
When these were running, they kept 3 going all the time, and 1 was getting maintenance done. And they're 1,000 horsepower each. About. They were running, I don't know, not a whole bunch of pressure, like 120 PSI, if I remember right, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And all 3 running engines are replaced with an electric motor that's like this big around and
Yeah,
that tall.
about this section of the table
Yeah.
that is bolted onto the side of it.
once Cincinnati used to be the center of the world in heavy machinery, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Manufacturing.
Uh,
I remember when I was a child, my father talking about the Cincinnati machine or whatever, like different, and the name of Cincinnati in the blocks of the steel, yeah, everywhere.
Cincinnati used to be number 3 most targeted nuclear facility in the world. More nuclear missiles aimed at Cincinnati. It was like, what, DC, Moscow, and then Cincinnati.
Tours are the first Saturday of most months. Sign up here. They don't do that in really cold weather because it's really, really cold. I mean, it would be good to do this now because as hot as it is down at the bottom of that well, it is not hot. And this is Old River Station. And that's the engine from the side.
Inertial wheel.
Yeah, 50 PSI, steam pressure. Let's see, what says that?
29-inch diameter for the high pressure cylinder and
The
I
steam,
think it was 96
the
by
steam-
82 by 96 for the low
the steam
pressure.
piston is the first one at the top.
Yes, well, there's three of them. There's three cylinders at the top. Here it is from the side.
This is
And
one of them.
This
Okay,
is
yeah, yeah.
high pressure, intermediate, and low
Uh-huh.
pressure. And then the crankshaft goes through here. Flywheels are these green things there and there. And
Wow.
connecting rods going
What
all the way
okay.
up and down. Yeah,
You're little.
yeah. There's a stairway that connects these blue things. Those are walkways. You can walk around the thing.
For maintenance. It was a neat tour.
Impressive.
And other
There
stuff.
is the pipe under the river floor
Yeah.
that
Yes.
go across the
Yeah.
river.
And this was the thing that got me. That was hand dug by people that were digging a little bit and putting bricks around them. Dig a little, put up bricks. Dig a little. No way in hell would I dig underneath a
River.
flowing river.
What nice you.
You could not pay me enough.
Well, but to be on the true side of that, I mean, was that really a river back then?
The Ohio River?
Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the dams weren't there yet, right? So it was a stream most of the year, if not dry.
No, it wasn't.
The
Wasn't it?
Ohio
The
River.
Ohio River has always been a pretty active
Yeah.
river.
Well, I was like, from what I understood, Ohio River during the summer and everything was more lucky if it was more than 2 or 3 inches deep.
No, it's a,
Because that was the whole point of their facility too, was because they could only get coal in the fall or whatever, like 2 or 3 months of the year, because they'd stockpile 18 months worth of coal because the river wasn't high enough to barge it in most of the year before the dams.
well, think about this for a second, because the Miami Erie Canal started in Middletown in the 1870s.
Yeah,
And so it had water, I think it went to the Great Miami over in Indiana. So it always had flow from that.
well, okay, that didn't really flow, did it, or just be like a big pool? 'Cause the oxen would pull
There were a number of locks on there still.
the,
Using navigation. The little town that I'm in has, cellar locks, so you can still go and look at the locks. And they're teeny tiny,
Yeah. yeah, well, I mean, I didn't know, back in the 1800s, how much water actually was flowing down the river. From what I understood, Ohio was not a very huge river until they started putting the dams in.
It may not have been navigable, but there's still big volume.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was like seasonal. Cause I've heard of people talking about walking across the Ohio a lot during certain times of the year.
Winter,
Well, no.
not in the summer.
No, like the spring and stuff before the rains and during the dry months of the summer.
This is a list of Cincinnati museums. And contact forum. So if you're into museums, CincinnatiTripleSteam.org is a good place to start. They have a huge amount of information. And this museum directory, Cincinnati, Ohio,
Okay,
is nice.
I will check that.
You like old planes though, warbirds and Sporties is pretty cool too. They're big thingies coming up pretty soon.
There's a Cincinnati toy museum.
I saw it when you had it popped up a little bit ago. I didn't know there was a toy museum.
Where's the canal museums there in Middletown? I see it,
Well, there's a Butler
upper
County
right-hand corner.
Warbirds Museum too, huh?
Cardboard boat museum. What?
above that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah, that's right there in New Richmond, right on the river.
So many times I wanted to go paint that sea rock colored.
Hmm.
And
Wonder what's the Butler County warbirds.
that's the one in Middletown.
Never been to that one.
Yeah, Hopefield.
No, I went to the one
Oh,
in,
and their links. That's new. Somebody's redone this. Ooh, shades of 1995. That is,
the crap, what is it called? The sea goose, not sea goose, albatross. They had just finished when I was with the one in Claremont. They had just finished restoring the albatross from World War II.
a lot of people learned how to pilot in that.
I thought it'd be kind of cool to go work for them, but I don't know if they pay people to help restore planes or if they just want all volunteers.
You're playing fanatics that would pay them to work there.
Well, that's what they have a lot of things for volunteers, but I've only seen one or two times they've had like kind of a paying gig. And I forget what the name of the family is. They have sunk a lot of money into restoring all those planes. So they've restored like 40 some planes now in the last 20 years. I didn't even know they were there until a few years ago.
My brother was stationed at Moffett Field in California. They have three big lighter than aircraft
Yeah.
hangars there. And we get to go down with him and go through the hangars because he's part of the museum down there. It's amazing how big those things are.
I'll say hangars get pretty big. And I bet the lighter near
Yeah.
what they call those Zephyrs or whatever got pretty big.
Oh, the
The balloons.
United States equivalent was the Akron and the Maker.
Yeah. I've
What
never
the hell?
seen one of them.
There's an old car museum in Shandon. I lived in Shandon from a year old to, I'm sorry, from
Fire truck.
about 4 till I was about 6. I thought it was a big thing because I was allowed to go get the mail. It was, the post office was across the street and down 400 feet. Okay, so another place I've got to go find.
Yeah. Well, we're about at the end of the session. Can
Yep.
you indulge me for a second?
Sure.
Time. Ah. That,
Bring this quartet.
it is the second one down.
But we're not gonna play all 20 minutes of this.
No.
Huh. each shelf a mini desk.
Hmm?
There's little mini desks on the shelves on some of the. Thought that maybe that's the motif for the tiny desk.
Okay, this is the backstage of the station, or where is this location?
That's in Washington DC.
Uh-huh.
It's in the National Public Radio offices.
Okay,
And they call it tiny desk concerts. They have the crowd people in there.
in the same, okay,
And just about every week they have a different group. And some of them are really pretty spectacular in terms of their ability.
Very cool.
I thought that
where is, art? We lost art, I mean,
Nope, he's still there.
Arthur.
what do you think, Art?
What did I think about what?
The
The music.
Ohio rendition, Neil Young's Ohio.
Did you not see that? I
I'm
thought
sorry. I'm not following you.
Did you not see the NPR violinists there and cello?
Oh, yeah, I saw them.
Okay. I think that's what he was asking, what your impression was.
They looked like, I couldn't hear, obviously I couldn't hear the sound, but it looked to me like they were all doing their own thing.
They weren't. They were actually very coordinated. I will
Okay.
send a link to that.
The
Yeah.
soundtrack?
Sure.
Yeah. As you recall, because you're a little older than I am, the Kent State and Neil Young writing the song Ohio. And it was recorded by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Well, this group has redone it, and this is from March of this year.
Okay.
there's a portion in the middle of it that is, for me, elicits the response as if I was in 1969 again.
And if anybody is a big fan of Mr. Nash, he's going to be playing at Murphy Theater end of this month. And tickets are still available. It's a small theater in, is that not Wilmington? What is that city? It's relatively close. It's Southern Ohio, halfway between here and Hillsborough.
Sardinia?
That doesn't sound right. I don't know. Hold on. I gotta look it up again.
Wilmington or Williamsburg?
Wilmington. That's it.
I say Wilmington's a little further north, but
Anyway,
Yeah, we gotta
that group,
call it. It's
Yeah.
already after 7. So, Art, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Okay,
sorry you got cut out of the audio.
Yeah, I thought you got that. I'm sorry. I'll figure out how to fix that.
In the next meeting, we can check it again.
Yep.
okay.
Good night.
Right, next week. Good week is,